and it's a definite option here when considering Piece of Cake in terms of what they preferred in the past. But over for ENCE Esports, now that they do have that swap up with Elfie being in the lineup, I'm not entirely sure what to expect. If there's going to
I'm
be any
kind of
real big changes at all.
Yeah, and I'm also really intrigued by this because if you talk to a lot of players in the Overwatch League, if you talk to a lot of these guys at the top level, more often than not, especially with tanks, there's a resounding opinion of Reinhardt is just not as strong right now as Orisa, especially when you consider some of the heroes that can kind of counter Reinhardt out. Junkrat being a mainstay at the moment, just being able to rip that barrier down. McCree as well being an option. I mean, even Soldier does have a lot of barrier destruction that certainly will leave Chubbs exposed, especially when he doesn't have a Zarya to kind of enable his aggression should he decide that he wants to actually put that out. So now it looks like Krim's going to be swapping, which might be an indication that something is changing, but he's going to go back. So I'm not sure about this. It's interesting to me that we see Reinhardt's on both sides here, where Orisa, in my opinion, certainly in the opinion of a lot of Overwatch League pros as well, it might be better.
We'll see if it indeed is going to be a problem here for them as the round will start. And Lolly already pick up a kill onto Naga. It's going to be looking good for the defensive side. And as a Genji player myself, I know how annoying it is to deal with the Junkrats of the sort, since it can really section off different parts of the map if you're not careful with those traps. And again, when you're damage boosted on top of that as a Junkrat, those mines really hurt, man. And Poppy Fresh definitely felt the pain of that.
They've just been slowly, just like with these little kills here, these have been just as effective as just taking a team fight, because Lolly got off 2 of these onto Poppy Fresh. They have no mercy here. Yeah, the damage increase from Snap has been huge to enable these kills, but now with no mercy on the other side, they're not able to get those reses, and now Chubbs is taken down as 2. Remember, that barrier damage is so high for Piece of Cake. They can just rip him down so quickly. It's really up to these flankers now to start making plays if they want to get ahead, and it's just going to be so difficult for them, especially without that mercy in play that they would really kind of like. I would have really liked to see them have, but they're going to stick with this comp right now, and I personally don't like that.
Definitely doesn't seem like it's paying off for now, but at the very least, going into this next team fight, they will have Coalescence available. Can definitely make Rue Ape's life of misery, but now that we will go ahead and see Snape also pop that Valkyrie, he could bring Elfie back up. He does just so, but so far kills in favor of the offensive team. Krems tries to go for a big Earth Shatter. Poppy Fresh, though, still cleaning up house. Even now, Chubbs finally getting Callie there at the end. The lone Mercy pistoling out on the point will finally go down, and as a result, even though it wasn't looking too good, Piece of Cake find your footing and get that payload started.
Well, when you have a Tracer player like Poppy Fresh, you can do pretty much whatever you want, I guess, because he just went ahead with Naga. They dove right in. Now they're making some adjustments here. Chubb's going over to the Winston, and I do like this a lot here, especially paired up with the Diva. They're going to be able to kind of encroach on that high ground a little bit, kind of displace those guys that go up there. Poppy Fresh under fire a little bit here as Naga pulls out the blade. He's looking for some kills here, trying to find the Mercy, going for the Soldier first, though. Does find that kill. A lot of openings for the backline at the moment as the Mercy goes forward, and they should be able to clean this up, but still contested. Time falling off the clock. This is still a decent defense here displayed by ENCE Esports.
Not too bad, but overall, as said, they will just go ahead and continuously just stall it out. Even Lolly proving to be a big pain here, a huge thorn in the side of Piece of Cake. And as he said, these seconds can be all too precious when it comes to stalling that payload, keeping it from moving an inch. And so far looking good for ENCE Esports. Definitely a little bit better when compared to their first day performance. But Poppy Fresh will be able to take out Alba with a big pulse bomb.
Self-destruct ready for Krims as well, so as they get really aggressive here, if he actually goes ahead and overextends at any point in time, which is not going to be the case as they're just still cleaning up, he could easily just self-destruct, get back into his mech, and come back safe and sound. Now, looking at this here again, Naga almost ready to go with that blade. That's going to be big, especially because Tac Visor is up for Olba, and that could be a very, very pivotal duel between those two, especially if those come out around the same time, because Tac Visor can rip a Genji down, but not when he starts the blade right next to Olba. He should be able to take this kill. They're finding 2 on the other side of things, and Olba somehow slips away, but still on the point, very much in favor of Piece of Cake.
Oh man, both supports going down to start things out here for Piece of Cake is going to be huge. and now getting that payload also close to the objective. Nobody will be able to contest, and they will have a lot of time to work with. 4 minutes at that. And Krem still has the self-destruct. No other ultimate available just yet. Ooh, Rue caught of a position there. Krems will be able to pick him out, and things are not looking too hot anymore for ENCE Esports here.
And this is where Ruape has just been punished on this Reinhardt so far. You know, they haven't been able to get aggressive. They've just tried to react to this, you know, on the other side of things, Piece of Cake being very aggressive and just kind of controlling the pace of every one of these engagements, just running forward. We're seeing Naga dive in now, once again with Chubbs. They've already cleaned up 2 kills. Ruape finally returns fire a little bit, but still, so much is lost here for ENCE Esports. They're going to rely on this res to get Elfie and Oma back up to finally try to get their footing back underneath them, and that will back up the attack. Piece of Cake coming away with Marine Lord having Coalescence, as well as Sound Barrier being pretty close here, 75%. These guys are going to get these a lot, especially as they're just continuously healing in AoE right now.
And that's going to be the big thing. They forced those 2 important ultimates out of the side of ENCE Esports. And now with Chubbs, picking up a double kill on both of those supports will be huge. It's just going to be cleanup and Piece of Cake right now looking hot to just pretty much complete the map with 2 minutes and 52 seconds remaining. Well, that's got to be brutal for ENCE Esports.
This is one of the more dominating performances that we've seen so far, especially on a map like Eichenwald. We saw Angry Titans look pretty solid yesterday, or rather 2 days ago now. It feels like it hasn't been that long, but boy, has it ever. But we saw them looking pretty good on Eichenwald themselves. They took it against Eagle Gaming there. They wound up 3-0ing, and this is looking like, you know, another situation where it could wind up being like that, although it's really going to come down to Olba and Lolly. Ruape looked not so hot there, I would say. It's certainly that Reinhardt pick is, you know, it kind of hurt them a little bit, I would say. It opened things up with a nice Earth Shatter as that first point, but when he doesn't have Earth Shatter, he's very, very, you know, it's hard to be aggressive because they're just putting so much pressure on that barrier. You're not able to just easily replenish it like you would see on an Orisa, and you're just getting knocked around all over the place. You saw in that last point there where, you know, on the aggressive, Dredro and Marine Lord were just running forward. We saw Dredro actually going and booping him, displacing him left and right. Krims was knocking him about. Ruape just didn't have a good time at all, especially when Primal Rage was concerned as well. So he was just getting knocked about all over the place, and it was hard to control everything for his team when, you know, he doesn't have any control for himself as well.
And I really think it's interesting to note since the start of the tournament as to how many different other supports we've seen in general.
Yep.
It's been interesting to note how Mercy, even in a non-4 or quad tank composition, still saw Moira come into play, and to a good degree, he will make the swap over finally to that Mercy in this particular case, even though I'm sure a lot of fans of Symmetra out there would like to finally see her in competitive. It's not going to happen just yet, but looking at the offensive side for ENCE Esports, they're going to try their hand at a comp with, or playing around Olba's Pharah, and this could at the very least open up different possibilities, but Chubbs will go over onto the Reinhardt as well.
Still sticking to that one, looking to try to hold down in this choke. And they're just going to dive right past him. He's going to try to go ahead and get some damage out himself. He does cancel out Ruape, who goes down. No res going to come out from Snap more than likely. He's just too close to that point. But he's actually going to somehow sneak this. Snap does get the res, but loses his life to pull it off. And while we do see it still going back and forth with Ruape back in the picture, he's going to be going ahead and jumping back. And it will be likely Lolly falling down as well. And he does indeed. So now we see about 3 minutes on the clock here, Brunch. ENCE Esports with a decent first push, but they didn't come away with anything, so really need to start churning out some kills, especially getting into that backline, trying to deny Dredro, trying to get some pressure on the Marine Lord before that Transcendence starts coming up. Once these support ults come out, it's going to be hard to actually get this point secured.
And I did like that first pick coming out of ENCE Esports in the previous engage, but now Ruape coming in with another one onto Marine Lord. It'd be potentially big, but Naga's gonna pop that attack visor, fans Lolly, and if he can somehow spot out Snappy as well, who's trying to hide on the high ground, doesn't even matter though, as the rest of his team is gonna fall, and he's just gonna force to just stay on the point, go down in the end, and things again are now looking good for ENCE Esports. And in that first team fight, I like the fact that they got that first pick, but I didn't really agree with the choice of Snappy going in for that Resurrect, because whereas ENCE Esports got to pick off onto a support, it's definitely more valuable than losing Snappy in that particular engage as well, even if you did get your tank back up. But Earth Shatter coming out of Chubbs, proving us why Reinhardt's still a force to be reckoned with. And now Lolly picks up a double with that Pulse Bomb as well, as ENCE Sports looking to contest, but things are still looking good for Piece of Cake.
Especially as things continue, we saw the Transcendence keep things together for just long enough for Dredro to actually get some reses off, and now Marine Lord under fire one more time as Ruape tried to get him down with the Primal Rage, but Marine Lord was just a little bit too slippery, got away from that one, and that will be a great defense. Once again, held out by Piece of Cake here. Now really going to be leaning on their DPS players here to try to find something. Naga at 70% towards his Tac Visor. Popey will have that Pulse Bomb ready to go, but they're going to have to try to fight not only into a self-destruct, but I mean, I think more pivotally going to be that sound barrier from Elfie that he just got online here, and there aren't going to be Valks on either side. Marine Lord, luckily for these for Piece of Cake, is going to have more than likely his Transcendence for this fight, but I don't know if he's going to get it early enough, especially if they get aggressive towards him here in this hallway, and they find the kill.
And more importantly, they also find a kill onto Naga, shutting down that Tac Visor, and Deirdre is going to go for the res on Marine Lord that time around, and Chubb's going down as well. It's a man advantage in favor of ENCE Sports. Self-destruct is going to come through. No targets found just yet as Alba manages to pick up Krems in the end. First tick achieved, and finally ENCE Sports showing some signs of life here on Eichenwald.
And Marine Lord held on to that Transcendence there as well, so that's certainly a sign that they want to just go ahead and try to hold for second. And now 3 minutes on the clock. That's enough time technically for Piece of Cake to really just kind of wind this down in about 3, 4, maybe 5 fights if they hold it really, really close here. So they're going to probably want to play it a little bit slow until they have everybody ready to go. And once they do, they're going to try to get really fast, really attack with it. And now we do see Naga falling. Olba did get that kill, but with that res, we're going to see him back up and involved here. Or actually, he's just going to get back from... Oh, he does actually get res. So he gets brought back up here. Attack Visor at the ready, but they're going to fall to the side here. They already have some great kills on the board going their way, but now it's going to require the Attack Visor probably to clean it up here as they're getting aggressive once again on the attack.
But they're still managing to find quite a few kills now. Chubb's going down as well, and with so many members of ENCE Sports on the payload, it will cover some distance as they force themselves into that team fight on that high ground, but will have that potential advantageous position going into this next team fight. And just looking at the ultimates in general, things are looking good still for ENCE Sports. They just need to make sure they make the most out of it too.
They're going to look for a Pulse Bomb here. It goes out, sticks to the side of the barrier, so it's going to be contained inside of that, and it will not find anything. Lolly trying to look now for a kill onto Popey Fresh. He does find it as he goes out. Naga looking for that space to unleash this Tac Visor so they can mount a defense here on this second stage around the bridge. And it looks like they're trying something now. Tac Visor does come out. They're looking now for Ruape. He puts the barrier down, unleashes the Primal Rage, and sends Naga back to the spawn.
And so far, ENCE Sports still pushing that payload. However, we'll see them being contested here. Poppy Fresh manages to find Alba there. That's just all making it a 6v5. Forces the sound barrier still as Lolly returns with another kill. And Snappy did go down. Krems, except for Wave though, Lolly getting the D-suit. Will look to still keep it favorably for his team. But now coming into this one, Dridro with that Valkyrie should be able to keep things safe for his team. And with that 1 minute on this timer here for ENCE Sports, they need to make this next push happen.
Great healing from Dredro there as well, as he was able to Valk up, push out just enough to keep everything sorted. Now Marine Lord going to be the guy to look for as the Transcendence is ready. And they can still find kills here. Olba can still find some kills inside of a Transcendence when he does pull out that barrage. So he might still get aggressive with this if he gets low enough. If he gets in a good position, he can still find some kills with this barrage, even though this Transcendence is out right now. But he's going to be instead very patient with it. Find the kill, and he's going to go ahead, pop that onto Dredro, try to find that. But that's not going to... He's going to be denied, actually, by Naga.
But overall, still, ENCE Sports finding the kills they need. Not entirely sure what was going on with Piece of Cake there, because Poppy Fresh out of position, got taken down to start things out in that fight, and just one by one, slowly but surely, ENCE Sports managing to find the kills will mean that they will, at the very least, have another shot at completing the map. And with 1 minute and 27 seconds remaining, they need to make the most worth out of their ultimates as possible. And with those swaps going over from Elfie to The Zenyatta and Olba to Junkrat, they're gonna try and just brute force their way for this point. But Lolly is gonna go down to Naga, and Snappy is gonna go in for the Val, gotta try and res, finds it there, plays aggressively, doesn't get punished just yet. Oh, but no, still goes down.
They still have that Junkrat here, though, so they're going to push out a ton of damage. Naga going to go forward with that tack visor and look to clean everybody up here on the side. Olba down pretty low, but they're going to force him back, at least for now. And now 54 seconds remain. Not a lot of time to work with here. Of course, if you're ENCE Esports, and if you want to move forward, you need to start making adjustments now. Olba going over to the Soldier, I'm not sure about that. I actually really liked the Junkrat pick to push out a lot of damage. You also have that Rip Tire for some team wipe potential as well. And we see the self-destruct coming out. Will it find anything? That's going to be a definite no.
30 seconds left on this timer. The return, the self-destruct gonna come through as well. Doesn't find anything either. However, Krems did manage to get Kali in that window or window of opportunity. And now Naga picking up another kill onto Olba. These staggered kills are gonna be too important because it's 16 seconds remaining on that clock. And I just don't see how ENCE Esports can get back in.
Yeah, they're going to hold very close here. Piece of cake with the Valkyrie. They definitely want to be aggressive in this situation, try to deny them that opportunity to get to the point. We see the D.Va snuck around a little bit here, and that's going to be Kali trying to make his way, but he's going to get taken out of suit and killed off as well. Transcendence ready. They're going to move their way over to the payload, but 3 kills, or rather 2 kills already on the board here for Piece of Cake, as even the Mercy is getting involved. Look at Dreedra taking out Snap.
That's what I like to see out of this guy. Just pick up another kill this time around, showing who the better Mercy is. But it will be Piece of Cake coming out on top. But some good signs from ENCE Esports, honestly, here and there.
Yeah, pretty solid performance, and just another dominant performance, actually, on Eichenwald, where so far they've been fairly one-sided. Yeah, they made it close to that third objective point, but it was very close all the way through. Piece of Cake just looked like they were the better team so far in this matchup.
And now we will be moving on to a short break, but we'll be right back with the second map.
a fairly dominant performance by Piece of Cake in this match. They managed to snowball ENCE Esports on the attack, and on the other hand, they just stalled enough on the defense, so they closed it out on the third point.
And definitely really well executed as well, definitely playing to their strengths. And as we talked about a little bit before during the break, Naga was definitely on point with that soldier, making sure to shut down the opposition time and time again. Even though we usually see the likes of Poppy Fresh also popping off, I think Naga had a really big impact this time as well.
Naga was definitely the linchpin for ENCE Esports in this one, and as you said, Poppy Fresh had some good moves as well. Now, coming into Horizon, Lunar Colony, what are we expected to see?
We're probably going to see more quad tank out of the likes of Piece of Cake. They already showed that they do prefer that composition in certain points, and we've seen how effective it can be on that particular first point of the map. And when it comes to ENCE Esports so far, I'm not quite sure if I'd say overall they look way better, but it seems at the very least like they're doing slightly greater things in terms of overall coordination.
Yeah, they need to kind of start getting some wins if they don't want to find themselves in a bad situation, so to say. So I'm hearing from the production that our next map is live. Casters, take it away.
All right, welcome everybody to the moon. We've got these two teams ready to go, and of course ready to go for the cast as well, as Elfie doesn't seem like he's really kind of put this team off at all. I mean, he is a top 500 player himself, so it's not like they're missing anything in terms of overall, mechanical skill or anything. But what do you make so far of this substitution with Stitch going out for personal reasons?
Since I definitely see them, at the very least, to be a slightly better off in terms of coordination, I think since Elfie seemed to have previously had more of a coaching position for this team, now coming in as a player, could at the very least add an extra in-game voice that can really help out this team overall. But it seems like coming into Horizon, when it comes to the defensive side, they're going to go ahead and play the counter dive. But over on offense, I would expect to see more quad tech. Chubbs definitely having a big earth shatter there in that previous match over on Achinwald. And now it's going to seem like they might stick to it.
I do actually kind of like the quad tank for the first point. Something that we saw I believe 2 days ago, was that teams can sometimes stick to the quad tank a little bit too long. And going into the second point, especially when you see things like Junkrat holding up on high ground up in those rafters there, with that lift moving side to side, they can get a little bit carried away with trying to move in with the quad tank and then can get punished because they don't have anybody to actually deal with the high ground. So certainly for the first point, I do really, really like this concept. But as far as the second point goes, if there's anybody on that high ground, if there's anybody that goes up there, it's going to be very tough for Piece of Cake to move in there. So I think a switch might be necessary at that stage, unless they have a lot of momentum to kind of catch them off guard with a quick push.
And so far, the Tesla Cannon is going to deal a lot of AoE cleave, but Ruape forced to disengage for now. Lolly still sticking out from the side, looking for those targets. However, Poppy Fresh seems to be quite charged up. Marine Lord already at 53% towards that ult charge, respectively. Now pushing themselves on the point. Lolly's going to find himself at the end of Naga's scrap gun, and as a result, it's looking better and better for Piece of Cake to storm their way as both of the supports will get taken down. Chubbs still really good on that Reinhardt.
Yeah, Chubbs found a really, really nicely lined up kill onto Snap there. I mean, he was able to just charge right through everybody, get that one. So now moving into this second point here, I imagine this is the momentum I was talking about, where you can move in. Nobody has any time to get up on that high ground. They have that kill on Olba, so there's really no threat right now. They want to go in. They have Coalescence. Try to take advantage of this momentum you have right here.
And I do want to point out real quick that Didro get the last 3 kills into this one, but now Poppy Fresh getting Cali desuited. We'll look to get him down and out of the team fight, as Marine Lord will have used, or rather having used his Coalescence, will have that out of the question, but the Transcendence going to be popped, coming in from Melfi. We'll look to delay things as Dridger will go down. Self-destruct finds Stu though. Krem's coming up big, and now Naga with the whole hog is going to look to answer with a couple of extra ones, and the kill's still all in favor of Piece of Cake. They did have a few members short, but the third tech rapidly approaching. Is anyone going to contest? Oh, Lolly gets stopped, but oh man, what a complete stomp, if you will, coming out of Piece of Cake here.
That was an easy mind to read there, but Chubbs read it nonetheless. Put that Tracer on the floor on the blink as well, and really good stuff. Just creating that momentum from that first fight, even just that first engagement. It never stopped at that point. It was just a snowball quickly gathering speed and momentum, rolling down that hill with a lot of force, and that's exactly what that tank strat is meant to do. Now looking here at the defense, you know, Chubbs looking like he's going to pull that Orisa out, so you have to imagine that we're likely to see a Roadhog in play, perhaps. It's typically what you would see, but now the attack, we do see Lolly on the Tracer, Olba on the Widow, and Snap likely going to be on that Mercy pick. Probably not going to be going with the Junkrat with a solo Zenyatta heal. I can't imagine that's going to be the case, but still, it is a little bit of a dive, trying to create some spacing, trying to create some opportunities for Olba if they wind up actually sticking with this. They tried to go for a little bit of high ground action we saw with Olba making a swap over to Pharah, but it just was too late. The momentum was already too far in favor of those tanks, and Olba wasn't able to get much done, especially when they were just losing control left and right.
Especially also when Olba was the last one to go down after that first point cap, just those staggered kills being so detrimental to that snowball as well. And right now, at the very least for this lineup of Piece of Cake, if they expect a quad tank composition coming out of ENCE Esports, they will at the very least have Naga, which we've seen how effective Junkrat can be on Horizon against that setup when we saw Angry Titans actually pull it out versus Eagle Gaming. Just Urki managing to get, I don't even know, like 10 rip tires at least in one round or something crazy like that. Like more, it was just insane.
Yeah, and that's what you can do against a tank strat too. So you need to be able to see that. So I do like Naga pulling out the Junkrat here. I think it's a strong pick regardless of the composition that you go up against, but certainly against a tank strat that might come, especially given their performance with it just before on their attack. I do like this pick even more. They've kind of halted them a little bit, taken 30 seconds off just to start things off. And it seems like we're just waiting patiently now, just as ENCE Esports is, for that engagement. And they already lost Elfie!
Oh man, Lolly is gonna go ahead and be on the point, finally contested. Olba though, on that Pharah is gonna look to do something here to potentially displace the opposition, but so far kills all in favor of Piece of Cake, as they haven't even lost a single member on their lineup.
And that damage pressure that you get as soon as you leap and as soon as you try to get that dive going, you know, you walk right into a Discord from Marine Lord, a damage boost from Dredro, Naga throwing out so much pressure, Krims unleashing the missiles, blocking off all your damage as well with the defense matrix, Chubbs laying into him with that primary fire as well. I mean, there's just so much pressure as soon as they try to de-nest these guys, take out their insulated hold. It's tough. You just take too much pressure and you die off.
Oh, but they will at the very least force them out of that high ground advantage, and as a result, Reape is going to be able to take one down, and Marine Lord Naga's going to go down as well. And with those 2 kills, maybe, just maybe, they could start things off here. Dredro almost good to go with the Valkyrie, and as Chubbs takes down Reape, this could still happen here for Piece of Cake.
Oh, Dredro trying to stay alive with the Valk, just trying to stay. He wanted to res for a second there, but certainly didn't want to give up too much in the process, and he goes down. Now it looks like it's really good positioning here for ENCE Esports, who have control of the point. They have a lot of bodies on it, but now falling off of it as the Riptire comes out. They do find the kill onto Snappy, and he's going to go down. That's the Mercy out of the picture. They're still going to find the point capture, but taking off so much time. Now moving into that second objective, they have a lot of options here. Soundberry at the ready. We see Barrage pretty much at the ready as well. I imagine that this is going to be... Oh, he's actually going to switch. Olba going to be probably playing from high ground here. Naga made an adjustment as well. He's going to go back over to the Junkrat, which doesn't really matter. He just used his Riptire, so not too much loss there. But he's going to try to make his way over to the high ground here and just try to rain death down from above.
And once they are set up on that high ground, we've seen in the past how annoying it is for the offensive team to push through.
Yeah.
But at the very least now, they will have so many ultimates to work with. They really have to find their space here, as Chubbs is going to go in with that Winston, try to contest them in that choke. He's going to say, nope, you shall not pass for now, but they don't care, as they're just going to force their way through. Soundbear is going to be used. Naga's going to go down to Olba.
And we're just kind of waiting on Krims right now. He could easily throw out this Soundberry. We see the self-destruct coming out for the opposition, ENCE Esports here, trying to get anything they can find at the moment. Krims trying to take that soldier off of the high ground. Self-destruct likely to come out from Crims here as well, and he throws it out, not going to find anything off of it. And now Chubbs falls, even though he has the Primal Rage ready, could have gotten that reset, doesn't find it. Naga still on that high ground, still throwing out so much pressure, trying to take down Snap, who's flying around at the moment, but not going to find that kill at all.
And once he took down Olba, who was pretty much the only member of ENCE Esports contesting him, he just has such an easy time dishing out the rest of the DPS onto the opposition, as for now, having all those ultimates built up in their favor this time around for Piece of Cake, not even really giving up one single tick on that point. It will means that ENCE Esports are really under a lot of pressure since they have 4 minutes to go. Might seem like a lot of time, but when you look at the oppositions having finished in with 6 minutes remaining, we really want to close it out as fast as possible.
And we need to start seeing from ENCE Esports a little bit better target acquisition and execution, trying to find those, you know, really strong eliminations really quick, very efficient with the way that your team just plays together, jumps on a target and rips them down as soon as possible. And we just haven't seen that as much from these guys so far. And it's really been kind of a little bit of a Naga show, I would say. And ever since, you know, the first game that we saw, Naga was a guy that I hadn't heard too much about going into this, and he has really shown up. Poppy Fresh obviously has been kind of like their ace, but Naga, just that consistent killer, that damage dealer that they need to keep putting on this kind of pressure to enable Poppy Fresh to have that space to deal with everything else.
He has played in the past on the lineup of Copenhagen Flames, and unfortunately for them at that time, they didn't manage to get into Contenders Season 1 for Europe. But now that he finally gets a little more time in the spotlight, I'm glad to see him definitely show us why he's a force to be reckoned with. As so far, we'll actually see Poppy Fresh look for those targets with a pulse bomb, and he will get Elfie. And now with Ruave going down again, things are looking worse for wear here for ENCE Esports, as they have 2 minutes and 42 seconds remaining.
And going into this next attack, where you imagine they're going to probably pull out that attack visor because Olva's been sitting on it, he's probably saying, you know, I just need that space. Give me that opportunity. Let me pull the attack visor out. Damage boost me. Let's try to get some kills here. Let's just get it done right now. You know, they're still having that. They still have Marine Lord here that they have to deal with. They still have that Transcendence. They still have the res potential from Dredra as well. There's still so much to think about. They got a nice pick to start things off with Poppy Fresh going down, but they have to find more than that. It's just the Tracer, and it looks like they're trying to see if they want the res, but I don't think it's necessary. Poppy Fresh should be able to get back there no problem with his blinks.
Very nicely done here by the lineup of Piece of Cake Gaming, as Marine Lord is gonna just go ahead, use that Transcendence, go on to the point. Self-destruct is gonna come through. Elfie answers with the Transcendence of his own. It is a 1-for-1 so far, as they will look finally Olba go out with the attack visor, but dropping now down over from that high ground. He's not really gonna be too successful, as the rest of Piece of Cake are just gonna play around that rover, or I don't even know what to call that particular vehicle. But now Krem's picking up Elfie as well. Piece of Cake are just steamrolling their way for another teamfight win, and ENCE Esports just can't get anything rolling.
Great pressure from Naga as well, just to kind of help out a little bit. Callie was out of mech for a while there as well, trying to deal with him off to the side. Found the kill, but got rezzed up, so didn't really amount to much. Lale coming back into this fight, though, with that pulse bomb. They don't really have a lot of other options, and as time is getting ever closer to that 0-0 mark, you know, you have to wonder, is ENCE Esports even going to be able to pull this second point out, or are they going to be just decimated by a 2-0? That would feel, I mean, that would really demotivate right now, especially as you have so many games ahead today.
They're not only going to have to face the likes of Eagle Gaming, but also, I believe they still need to face off against those guys, so we'll see how that one's going to turn out. As Krem so far will be able to pick up the first kill, and now with both supports going down again, there's going to be another full stop here for ENCE Esports, and oh man, they pretty much have only one more fight in them.
It's just not looking good at all. I mean, yeah, they have really tough matchups ahead. They really need to kind of get something going here, or else morale is going to be super low for the rest of the day when, you know, they already have Eagle Gaming, who's looking a lot better than the first day. And after that, just to kind of close the day out, they have to beat out Angry Titans. And it's just, those are going to be two very difficult matchups for them, especially when they're really kind of fall into the dive a little bit. And now another big kill here for Poppy Fresh, likely to get rezzed up by Snappy here, but the Riptire comes out. That's going to force the res out onto someone else, that being Elfie, and overtime ticking. There's just no hope here for ENCE Esports.
Most definitely, as nobody's left on the point outside of Cali, who does get the resuit if it goes in for the tanks, as he was left alive. Piece of Cake definitely feeling confident in this one. Even Dridro going in the front lines, and it will be Piece of Cake taking another win on the board. And once again, they lead the group 3-0.
Very quick 2-and-out there for those guys. Or I keep want to say those guys, but now that there's a team, Nuki, you're killing me. You're killing me out here. But nonetheless, Piece of Cake, as you're saying, yeah, 3-0 right next to those guys who are 2-0 right now on the board. But, you know, we'll certainly be able to kind of see how things settle over the course of the rest of the day, as today is the last day for Group 1.
And we're going to find out shortly as we'll move on to a short break.